In this video, I will be going over the 3 most common mistakes that I see new welders make whenever they start stick welding, and I'll give a few tips on how to correct these mistakes. Now, I am using the 6013 electrode for most of this video, as it does exaggerate what can go wrong with stick welding. Now, in no particular order, these mistakes are arc length, rod angle, and travel speed. Now, I guess that I'll start with rod angle, as it is one of the easiest to remedy. But first, I do need to give a fair warning. You never, ever want to push with stick welding or any other welding process that involves flux. You will get inclusions, therefore weakening your weld significantly. As for inclusions, I'll go over those later in the video. Now for rod angle. I would say anywhere between 85 to 45 degrees is the ideal area for rod position. Any lower, and you could be pushing too much metal to the top of the weld, and any higher gives you a bigger risk for inclusions. However, some rods can be used at a straight 90-degree angle with minimal risk, and also don't get too worried if your project forces you to weld in some awkward spaces. We live in the real world, of course. Arc length. This is the distance between the tip of your rod to the workpiece. Unlike MIG welding, the arc length in stick welding is constantly changing and can be hard to master due to the fact that the welder themselves has to act like a MIG wire feeder. This right here is an example of proper arc length. The proper arc length is when you are close enough to the workpiece to where you are putting down consistent amounts of weld metal, yet far enough away where the electrode does not stick. And that brings me to the two opposites on either end of proper arc length. Too short of an arc and too long of an arc. Now, you'll know when you're holding too short of an arc when your electrode just plain old sticks to the workpiece. Some electrodes, however, can be dragged for the length of the weld, or if you're running the rod with slightly more amperage, it is also possible to drag it too. If your arc is too long, the weld will spatter much more than normal, and instead of forming a clear weld puddle, the molten rod will just spit balls of metal onto the work, as you can see in the background footage shown here. The end result of a long arc weld is a very ugly weld that is weakened by many inclusions. Finally, there's travel speed. Travel speed is how fast you move along the work. In the background, you can see an example of good travel speed. It's slow enough to where weld material is building up to make a strong weld, but fast enough to where the weld and heat buildup is as minimal as possible while still keeping a strong weld. Now, let's talk about going too slow or too fast. In the background, you can see too slow. Too slow results in too much weld buildup, and you also put unnecessary heat into your work. In this footage here, you can see exactly what the end results of the weld look like. Some other complications of going too slow is that some flux can make its way back into the weld. This is called an inclusion. An inclusion is a little bit of slag nestled inside of the weld itself. These drastically weaken the strength of the weld and can be difficult to remove. Going too fast, however, can result in a equally as weak, stringy weld like shown in the background footage here. Stick welding is a lot slower than MIG, and this is where most people mess up. They try to go as fast as they do when they're running a MIG weld, when it's just not possible. Overall, by practicing correcting these 3 mistakes, you can improve the quality of your stick welds, thereby improving the quality of your projects. That's going to be it for this video, so I really hope that you guys found this informative. If you did, please consider leaving a like, and if you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. Anyways, that's all from me, so I'll see you in the next one.